Story time about how I caught my boyfriend and my best friend talking trash about me. My boyfriend swears that this was the first time they ever spoke badly about me behind my back, so I need you guys to tell me your opinion. My boyfriend and I have been dating for 3 years, but it's been on and off for a very long time. He's always been a little bit toxic and extremely jealous. Jealous to the point where I can't have any guy friends. He has to know exactly where I'm going and with who, and he always likes to approve the content I'm about to post on Instagram. One time I actually posted a bikini picture of me and my best friend, and he flipped out. He said all I was doing was trying to get attention from guys, and of course he called me a slut too. After this, I broke up with him and we didn't see each other for like 3 months. But apparently he called my best friend and asked her to convince me to get back with him. And she succeeded. I got back with him. But it seems like my boyfriend just kept getting even more jealous of everything. He even got jealous of my new boss. My boss happens to be young and very attractive, and my boyfriend forced me to quit. You heard that right. I quit my job. Part 2. Storytime about how I caught my boyfriend and my best friend talking trash about me behind my back. He swears this never happened before, but I don't know. You guys have to tell me what you think. After he forced me to quit my job because he thought I was attracted to my boss, I held a lot of resentment. So I went and talked to my best friend. Cause duh, isn't that what you usually do when you have a problem? I went straight to her house and I cried to her. She told me that I was stupid for even leaving my job, and basically that I needed to break up with my boyfriend. Then I got really mad at her. She convinced me to get back with him. I ended up leaving her place because I was so upset. I went to my parents and told them everything that happened. My dad was so upset. He called my boyfriend and told him to never ever look for me again, and that he was the worst thing that had ever happened to me. My mom even called him the devil. Part 3 is up. Storytime about how I caught my boyfriend and my best friend talking trash behind my back. After my dad yelled at my boyfriend on the phone telling him to stay away from me, my boyfriend started calling my phone non-stop. At this point, you can imagine I was super upset. My boyfriend forced me to quit my job, which I did. My best friend wasn't listening to me, and my parents were just attacking my boyfriend. So I decided to go back to my best friend's house. I pull up to her apartment building and park. I walked all the way up to her apartment, but as I got closer to the door, I could hear my boyfriend and her speaking. I immediately thought that my boyfriend was there looking for me, but something told me to stop and listen at the door. That's when I hear my best friend calling me a stupid bitch, that I don't appreciate my boyfriend, and that even though I'm a brat, I still get everything I want. Then my boyfriend says, "You should have heard her fat ass dad. I should beat the crap out of him for his disrespect." I walked in and told him I heard everything. My best friend immediately apologized and backtracked. She said she was just trying to calm my boyfriend down, who was being aggressive. My boyfriend also apologized. I told him I couldn't trust them. They swore that that was the first time they'd ever done that. My best friend keeps calling me, but I won't answer her calls. Should I break up with my boyfriend?
Would I be the asshole if I didn't buy a new engagement ring? For 5 years now, I, male 26, have been in love with the love of my life, female 25. I cannot express how much I love her and how important she is to me. Oh my gosh. I knew I wanted to marry her shortly after getting together. We're finally financially stable enough, so I decided now is the time. In 2020, my girlfriend lost her grandmother. They were super close and it hit my girlfriend hard, especially because she couldn't have a last goodbye in the hospital due to COVID restrictions. In early 2021, my girlfriend helped her sister move houses. She was wearing a ring her grandmother gave her before she passed and lost it while carrying boxes. This had hit her even more, and even now she will still sometimes cry about this because she feels like she lost the last memory of her grandmother. We had looked for the ring but hadn't found it. On Christmas, my girlfriend had cried again because she missed her grandmother and laminated the loss of the ring. This gave me an idea. She spent the weekend of New Year's Eve with a friend, so I contacted her sister and asked if I could search her house once again for the ring. When I mentioned that I want to use the ring to propose, she was super excited. She, her husband, and my girlfriend's mother, who loved the idea as well, helped me and eventually found the ring between some boxes in her garage. Oh my god, yay! I love this idea. That's actually super fucking sentimental and sweet. What the heck? I'm planning on proposing on the 14th, which is the anniversary of our first date, and we always go out to do something nice then. I had mentioned it to my friends who were excited for me, but they had asked about what ring I got, and I told them the story. They called me a cheapskate for not buying my girlfriend a new ring. They also said that it's not an engagement ring. I mean, it really doesn't look like an engagement ring because it isn't. It's a normal silver ring with an amethyst stone. My girlfriend struggled with anxiety, and her grandmother got her one because apparently those stones help with anxiety. They also said it's an asshole move to use the ring someone else paid for as an engagement ring. One friend also brought up that by connecting the ring to our engagement, I might taint its original meaning. Oh, I didn't think like that. Maybe they have a point. Now I don't feel so confident about this anymore. I thought that since the ring has a lot of meaning to her, it might be a good engagement ring. My girlfriend even jokingly said she would be okay with the candy ring because it's the symbolism that counts and not the ring itself. Now I think girls just say that just to be nice and not sound like bitchy, but you better not get no girl no candy ring, okay? But now I'm scared I really might come up as a cheapskate and she might not want the ring as an engagement ring, but just normal jewelry. So would I be the asshole here? Okay, no, here's the thing. I think it's a very, very sweet idea to propose with the ring. You should also, I think, have a backup ring, or when you propose to her, tell her like, I know I found this for you, but I want to go take you. If you don't want this, I want to go get you an engagement ring and help you pick it out. I think that's a good balance of it.
Am I the asshole for telling my daughter that I didn't feel bad for not letting her cut her hair the way she wanted? I, 46 female, have a daughter 15 female. She has always been a bit boyish for a girl ever since she was younger. Instead of wearing dresses, she'd wear shirts and pants with small little boy shoes. People often asked if my daughter was a boy. I would answer no because she was my little girl. As she got older, I began to ask her to wear dresses to social gatherings we went to. I immigrated to the US in 2006, a year before I had my daughter. I was born and raised in Bangladesh. She would always comply and wear our dresses, though often she would wear a kurta and dress like a boy still. I didn't mind because it meant that she could be a bit girly. My friends often commented on how beautiful she looked when she wore dresses and looked feminine. However, recently, I've noticed my daughter has been trying to act more like a man. I thought she was in a phase because when she was younger, she got bullied by the other kids in the group. She still gets mad over it. However, I took her to the hair salon for a haircut recently because she asked. I obliged because she wanted to change up her hairstyle again. She always had a habit of doing so. I noticed she was secretive with her hairstyle and I immediately knew something was up. The hairstylist working on her asked me if I was okay with her chopping my daughter's hair up to her ears. I got confused and asked her to show me the photo. She did and I got mad. I told her that I wouldn't let her do the hairstyle. It wouldn't look good on her because it was too manly. The hairstylist asked me how much she should chop off and I told her to the collarbone. My daughter began to cry and make a scene in front of the hairstylist and the instructor who had walked over. I began telling her to pull herself together and to stop throwing a tantrum. She knew she wasn't allowed to have short hair because she didn't know how to take care of her hair properly. We eventually finished up and I told her we had to go. As I paid, she immediately barged out the front door. I found her in the back. I told her to get in the car and we had to go home. She gave me the silent treatment the entire day until I entered her room and asked her what she wanted for dinner. She immediately went off on me, calling me every name under the sun and calling me a bad mother. She demanded an apology from me when I told her that I didn't feel guilty whatsoever for what I did. I wouldn't apologize to her. Girls aren't supposed to have short hair. She must have gone talking about it because I've been getting calls and texts from her dad's side of the family, along with friends berating me for not letting my daughter get the haircut that she wanted and that it was only hair and it would grow back. It's part of my culture. I only want the best for my daughter. I love my daughter a lot and I would do anything for her, but I couldn't let her make this mistake. So, am I the asshole here?
Am I the asshole for hiding the soda? I feel ridiculous for even posting this, but I need objective eyes on this. Background: 1 husband, 2 stepkids, 15 male, 17 male. Married 5 years. We keep separate financial accounts if that makes a difference, and we alternate who buys groceries week to week. Anyways, here's the deal. I don't drink coffee. I drink Mountain Dew or the occasional energy drink for my morning caffeine kick. My husband and the oldest stepson are both coffee drinkers. With increasing frequency, I'll go to grab a drink out of the fridge and all of the soda and energy drinks are gone. The kids have taken to coming home and grabbing 2 to 3 or more sodas, and before they left for their mom's house last week, the 15-year-old was actually packing a 6-pack into his backpack to go. The obvious solution, I thought, was to buy more soda. Yes, I know it's awful for the kids, but if their dad isn't stopping them from sucking down junk food, it's not my deal to intervene. Good point for you. Yes, you are correct. Nope, still gone to where I look for the fridge for one single much-needed energy boost and nada. So I started asking my husband to pick up soda or a few energy drinks on his grocery shopping week to supplement. His response was that he's not wasting money on garbage like that and to complain about how expensive things like Mountain Dew are these days. Then tell your kids to stop drinking hers. Simple. Like, okay, you don't buy it, fine, don't buy it, but tell your kids not to take your wife's shit. Next tactic was to ask that if the kids drink the soda, that they please leave a few behind if it's obvious we're almost out, so I have at least 1 or 2 when I go to grab one. This is where things took a turn for the worse. My husband got irritated and said that I was policing the food and that no one who lives here should have to ask permission to eat or drink. Really, dude? You gonna pull that shit? Ugh. Fine. I figured if I wanted to have a Mountain Dew or energy drink for myself, I would just put a little mini fridge in my office and stash a few in there. I got a tiny fridge that holds a 6-pack and popped a few in there. I put the cases I buy in my office and put a week's worth in the main fridge at a time so they last until I shop again. Okay, so you're putting some, like 6 in your own little fridge and you're still putting a pack in the big fridge. Yesterday, the 15-year-old complained that there hadn't been Mountain Dew in the fridge for a few days, and my husband grumpily said, "Go get them from your stepmom's office. She's hiding food and snacks from you guys in there." What a piece of shit. At this point, I put my foot down and said I'm hanging on to some of the drinks that I like every week because otherwise I don't get any. And if everyone else drank what I put in the fridge for them before I shopped again and my husband didn't want to buy any himself, that's just too bad. My husband still refuses to buy the soda himself, but is convinced I'm being a complete and total jerk because I'm hiding what I purchased. Am I being completely oblivious to my own asshole behavior here, or is this as lopsided as I think it is? Nah, your husband's psycho. What the heck? He's not wasting money on garbage, but he's perfectly happy for you to spend your money and not even drink your own soda. So, nah, get out of here.
Am I the asshole for telling my in-laws about what their son's girlfriend did to my son's blanket, causing her to get shunned? I, female 33, found out that my ex-husband, male 37, was cheating on me when I was 7 months pregnant with our son. I got a divorce and we share custody of our 3-year-old son now. My ex-husband's girlfriend tried to get involved with my parenting several times. She even commented on my son's name, implying that we should agree on a name that we all want, not just what I wanted, and try to dictate what he should and shouldn't have. As a result, she started throwing out stuff of his that I paid for myself. Honestly, it's frustrating because I'm barely getting by with money that I have and can't afford to buy a replacement for all the stuff that she throws out, but my ex-husband said it's her house and she gets to decide on what can and can't enter. I made a crocheted blanket for my son with his name on it. This blanket is special to me, and the tools I used to be able to make it cost me money, not to mention the time and effort it took to get it done. I sent my son to stay with his dad a few days ago, and he wanted to take the blanket with him to sleep in it. I don't know exactly what happened, but when I came to pick him up, he told me that his dad's girlfriend took it away from him and threw it out, leaving him with no blanket to sleep with that night as a punishment for him not accepting the one that she offered. I was furious. I called his dad, but he hung up on me, and I sent him a text explaining the situation, but he texted back telling me that I should stop the drama and go look for a job if I have so much free time on my hand instead of picking on his girlfriend. I felt frustrated. I visited my family who are good to me and told them about what their son's girlfriend did. Now it's worth mentioning that she's been working hard for their approval to get on their good side. They were shocked to know about what she did and they all flipped out on her and started calling her out. My sister-in-law took it further by putting this on social media, which made the other family members see what she did. My ex-husband called me yelling about my pathetic attempt to turn his family against his girlfriend. I could hear her freaking out in the background while he was lashing out at me saying I ruined every chance she had to have a good relationship with her future in-laws. I hung up and felt absolutely horrible, even though I was just venting to his family about what happened and felt frustrated. Maybe I shouldn't have told them? I'm not sure anymore since the whole family isn't speaking to her, so that might have a lasting impact on the relationship with her. So...
Story time about how my Bumble date tried to choke me. I mean, he was literally trying to kill me. Disclaimer is not my story time. I was sending me on Instagram. This was by far the worst date I've ever been on. Let me just say, I've had really bad dates. A little backstory. It all started last year when I left my broke-ass boyfriend. He would expect me to pay for everything because I was earning more money than him. So literally from one day to the next, I kicked him out of my apartment and I had all this newfound freedom. Now here's the thing. My friends all use dating apps and they never had such bad experiences, so I figured I should try it out too. To tell you that one of my best friends got married to one of her Bumble dates, I had high hopes. I downloaded Bumble the day after I broke up with my boyfriend. It was probably too soon, but honestly, I was just trying to have fun. My first date was okay. I wasn't necessarily attracted to this guy, but he was very successful and very funny. And when a guy can make me laugh, that goes a long way. So it kind of tricked me into believing that he was like, okay. So I decided to go on another date with him. Only the second time, all he kept talking about was Trump. So I got up from the table and I left him there. I mean, that's one thing about me. If I don't like you, I will straight up leave the table. I mean, I'm not wasting my precious time on some guy. Part 2 is a story time about how my Bumble date tried to choke me. This man was trying to kill me. Disclaimer is not my story time. Was sending me on Instagram. After the first date, I decided to give it another chance. I ended up going on a date with a guy who I'm pretty sure was gay. The whole time we talked about his best friend and how great his best friend was, and he definitely sounded different. So by the end of the date, I asked him if he was bi. He acted all offended and said no. So obviously, I never went on a date with him again. When I got home that night, I decided to get back on the app and look for another date. As you do. And that's when I saw the guy. The one who choked me. Let me start by saying he was definitely the most attractive guy I had seen on the app until that point. Which was one of the reasons why I really wanted to go on a date with this guy. Up until that point, all these other guys were like 5s. He was definitely a 10. We connected right away and he asked me out on a date that very weekend. And I said yes. I was so excited to actually meet this one specific guy because he was so attractive. I went all out and went to get waxed. I got my hair done. The weekend comes around and we end up meeting at a bar. We met, sparks flew, it was amazing. But after 3 drinks, he started getting very aggressive. He started grabbing my butt and everything else. If you know what I mean. Part 3 is a story time about how my Bumble date ended up choking me. That's when he started getting sexually aggressive. Like really bad. He had only had his 3rd drink, which led me to believe that he probably had a couple of other drinks before he came to our date. He was trying to grab at everything. My butt and even my V. Of course I pushed his hands away, and the only reason I didn't leave is because I'm like, okay, he's had a couple of drinks and he's probably just attracted to me, instead of telling him to stop and straight up leaving the bar. After 45 minutes, I told him that I was gonna go home. Then he says, I need a ride home, can you give me one? And I said yes. Big mistake. We get into my car and he actually started gagging, like he was gonna be sick. I asked him to get out of my car and he said, no, I'm good. And that's when he just leans over and starts trying to kiss me. Instead of a normal kiss, he got up on the chair and on top of me. When I told him to stop, he grabbed my neck. 30 seconds later, I woke up. So yeah, he had choked me. He looked terrified. He got off of me and just left the car. I went straight to the police and they told me that they couldn't actually charge him because I didn't even know his real name. It turns out on the app he had used a fake ID. I reported him to the app, but nothing happened. What should I do?
Can you solve this mystery? This is a story about the murder of a group of kids that went to the same school, but things are not as simple as they seem. Someone is hiding something, and all the clues to what really happened are hidden in what I'm about to say. After the tragic murders of these boys, they had to each be buried in closed caskets because their bodies were so badly beaten. But someone noticed something strange at the funeral. He was a friend of one of the boys' parents, and he saw an elderly woman sitting alone, someone that he didn't recognize. When the funeral was over, she quietly went over to each headstone with a smile and placed a clover next to each one. Then Then she said a silent prayer. He thought she must be one of the dead boy's grandmas. He asked her, why did you place a clover on their grave? She replied, it's a happy flower. It brings good luck. You see, my grandson died too, but it was a different incident. He was bullied for a long time, and one day he couldn't take it anymore. He hung himself in the school bathroom. The elderly woman began crying and left. He felt bad for her, but something felt off. That night, he decided to Google what clovers mean. It said that they were the symbol for revenge. What really happened here? Can you solve this mystery?
I am going to be telling you a scary childhood story. When I was 2 years old, my mom passed away. My dad wasn't in the picture, so I went to go live with my grandparents. My grandparents lived in a super old home that was built in the 1800s. I was a very imaginative child. So when I told my grandparents that I used to see people in the house, they just didn't believe me. There was one lady in particular that I would always see. She would sit at the end of my bed and watch me fall asleep. I wasn't scared of her because I thought she was an actual person. Plus, I was super little, so nothing even crossed my mind. At this point, I was like 4 or 5 years old. I remember her talking to me constantly. She even sang me the song Rockabye Baby to get me to go to bed one night. Every single day when I would get home, I could see her in my window. At that point, I thought she was just waiting for me. She just wanted to be my friend, right? But as I got older, things started to get really weird between me and her. She wasn't this nice lady anymore. Stay tuned for part 2.
I have a habit of putting my friends in categories. I have my TikTok friends, and I have my real life friends. And I know I'm not the only one that does that. But by categorizing them like that, it insinuates that one is more valid than the other. And if I'm being honest, I have definitely fed into that, and I've put my real life friends on a pedestal over my creator friends. I don't know if any other bigger creators have dealt with this, but I'm really lonely as far as friends go. I didn't realize it at first because it happened so gradually, but more often than not, I get sent to voicemail or texts go unanswered. And if we do hang out, I had better not bring up TikTok at all because the eye rolls and disapproving looks are strong. Now, we can chalk it up to busy lives or natural growth and change, and possibly even a little bit of jealousy. But I honestly don't remember the last time one of my real life friends reached out to me unprompted. This past weekend, I flew to Los Angeles to meet up with some of my creator friends. Now, I frequently hear creators say things like, you don't really know me. You only see my life in 60-second increments in my videos. Even I've been guilty of saying this. Well, this weekend showed me that that is just not true. If you're mutuals and you engage with each other's content and you are true to who you are in the content that you post, you know each other so much more than you realize. 4 of us got together last weekend, and I was the only common denominator. They had never interacted with one another before, except for a group chat that I set up a couple of days earlier. But because we were all creators who were true to ourselves in our content, a life coach with a strong love army, a slimer, a musician, and a face painter, were able to spend an entire weekend together without a single moment of awkwardness. When I had to leave, it was particularly hard because it truly showed me how lonely I've been at home. But at least now I know that my TikTok friends are my real life friends, and they deserve to be on that pedestal.
Every time my wife wears orange, I know she's about to cheat on me. All of our family members were very close, in-laws and all. Siblings, you name it. And I might sound a little petty for this, but my wife absolutely hates orange. She despises it. But you know who does like orange? My brother. She met my brother about a year ago. And you guessed it, about a year ago is when she wanted to wear orange all the time. Orange makeup, orange clothes, orange hair. And ever since then, she started acting weird. I mean, coming home at weird hours of the night, not being as affectionate, signs of cheating. So you know what? I'm done with the lies, and I'm just going to make my own plan to bust him in the act. Because I know it's him. So our family reunion comes around, and I say, oh, looks like we're out of a few ingredients. Can you and my brother run to the store and grab a few things? Of course, she's ecstatic to go do something private like that. And so she goes, yeah, but it might take us a minute because, the traffic here is ridiculous. Oh, no, I know. Take as long as you need to, honey. When I hug her, I drop the tracker inside of her purse so I can know to follow her. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how I knew my wife was cheating on me because she was wearing the color orange. So the tracker goes in the bag and I'm getting ready to bust these people. They hit the road to their imaginary traffic that I already knew wasn't there. And I wait till they get to a location where they're there for at least 10 minutes straight. Then I know to pull up. So my location tells me that they're at this rinky-dink, low-down, broke-down motel. So I pull up to that place. And I go upstairs, knock on the door, and they open the door and say, oh my God, we thought you would never show up. What are you doing here? I'm like, who exactly were you expecting? And why are y'all two in this hotel? Then they try to lie and say, oh, we were waiting for you. Yeah, the traffic was so long. We thought you would know that we took a break. I'm like, you literally just asked me, what am I doing here? So obviously that's not true. Want to try again? Then my brother says, okay, look, bro, I hate to tell you this, but we actually were waiting for another woman to come join us. Then we got into the biggest fight, completely embarrassed ourselves, ruined the family reunion. Police were called. My sister told me she only hangs out with me because I'm pretty. Let me know if this makes sense to you by the end. From the time I was super, super little, I mean like 3, 4, 5, 6 type little, she always said, oh my God, you're going to be so pretty when you get older. You're going to get so many guys. Probably more than me. And at that age, it honestly didn't mean anything until I got older. For my 16th birthday, she takes me into her room and she dumps out this huge box of shoes, high heels, sneakers, boots that she used to wear when she was my age. Then she gives me all of this makeup. Then she goes, happy birthday, kid. Boy, you're so lucky that you're so pretty. Because if you weren't, we probably wouldn't even be close. Anyways, take as much as you like. And before she could finish, I'm like, wait a minute. So my looks has something to do with how close we are? And she goes, think about it this way. Would you eat any food that looks nasty? Would you talk to a guy or date him if you weren't attracted to him? We all eat with our eyes first, even in family. It doesn't just apply to the dating world. So the more appealing something seems to look, the more closer people are going to get to it. Who agrees with her?
Hey y'all, so as y'all know, it is Pride Month and I happen to be sick. I think that's just really transphobic. Why would the universe even let me get sick during Pride Month? Why can't they just choose some random straight person or whatever? There's like billions of them. Why me? Also, I'm just kidding. No offense to the straight community. I was just kidding. Wait a minute. So since I am a trans girl, right? And I happen to like men. So then am I part of the straight No, thank you. No. I'm so thankful for the teen LGBT. I don't have to join in with the straights. Anyways, I hope y'all like this cute and innocent natural hair look. Now it's time to cap.
I've been dating my man for a year and some months now. This is not my story, by the way. It was sent to me on Instagram. Everything was going on smoothly and I was everything to him. He gave me everything I wanted, even if it meant spending his last money. Just a month ago, everything changed all of a sudden. I will be with him while he spoke to another lady. When I asked him about her, he told me she was just his friend. I took his phone one day, and surprisingly, he had deleted our messages both on WhatsApp and on his SMS. And then I saw the same girl's pictures on his phone, and her pictures were even more than mine. I tried asking him about this, But he just gave me excuses. He said I'm the one who doesn't send him any pictures. On Saturday, he told me he was going out with his friends. When he came back, I took his phone and saw that he was with a girl from morning till night. When I asked him about this, he told me it was just a coincidence that they met. And I requested to see pictures of him and his friends, but he couldn't provide any. Then he stopped caring about me. Even on my birthday, he couldn't even post me on his status. He promised to change my phone on my birthday and he didn't do that too. I went back to school and when I left, he stopped calling me. And when I call, he doesn't pick up and returns my call when he likes. I got tired and told him we should break up, but he didn't agree. But 2 days later, he came back and told me we should break up. I cried all day and later he apologized, but he still denied dating the other girl. I had the girl's best friend's contact, so I called her to find out the truth. And she told me they were dating, but my boyfriend denied this. 2 days after he apologized, he told me he wanted to concentrate on the other girl, so we should part ways, and I agreed. The next day, he went to my mom and pleaded with her to talk to me. He said he was wrong for breaking up with me. The following day, I called him in the morning. He picked up and told me he was sleeping and that he would call me back. But I didn't hear from him till evening. I tried calling more than 10 times and he didn't pick up. So I used a different number to call him and he picked up. When he realized I was the one calling, he started insulting me. I broke down into tears immediately. I asked him if he was with the other girl and he said yes. Why does he keep coming back only to hurt me like this? I'm still in love with him and I don't know what to do. This follower needs your advice, babes. Please drop some below. I'm 23 years old and currently a housewife. I married the love of my life at the age of 20 and we were so happy for a year. But we got divorced because of family problems, especially because my mom didn't like him. This is not my story, by the way. It was sent to me on Instagram. I got very stressed, heartbroken and depressed. I hated my town and country and wanted to get out to relieve my pain. So I traveled to another country. When I got there, I went to my second uncle's house to work. After 2 months of staying with them, my uncle introduced this friend to me. He told me to talk to him and maybe date him after we get to know each other. He told me he was a very good man. I said okay for my uncle's sake, but I was really not ready to date anyone. So this man started calling me and I spoke to him as a friend, nothing more. After 2 months, my uncle's wife got better and they no longer needed my assistance. So I lost my job and it was very difficult to find another one. I stayed with them for another 2 months without working. And I started feeling that his wife was getting annoyed with me, so I had to leave. But I didn't know anyone else. Then one day, my uncle's friend, who I've been talking to for 4 months, proposed to me and I accepted it. I accepted it because he told me he loved me and he cared for me. And my mom liked him too. And I was especially happy that my mom liked him since she hated my ex so much. Now I'm married to my new man for about 4 months now. And he's no longer the man I married. He's a different man now. One day we quarreled about something. I started crying because I was very stressed. He saw me crying, but he just put on his clothes and walked out of the room. Today we fought about something. He beat me and slapped me so hard in my face and kicked me. My whole face is swollen up now and I don't know where to go or who to talk to. I only know my uncle, but he lives far away because we settled in a different town. Also, he apologized this afternoon and told me not to tell my parents and that he won't do it again. But I'm so scared of him. I don't know what I can do since I don't know the language of this country. Nor do I have money. This follower needs your advice, babes. Please drop some below.
The most beautiful diamond. You've got the most beautiful diamond's eyes I've ever seen in my whole life. The skyline is jealous. I'm looking at you, how you shine.
Am I wrong for calling out my sister for breastfeeding at my wedding? Oh, this is gonna piss me off. My 34 male sister gave birth 2 months ago. She brought the baby to mine and my wife's 23 female wedding. She breastfeeds wherever she goes. We visit her house, she'll breastfeed in front of us. Visiting our parents, she'll breastfeed. Going out in public setting, she'll sit on a bench on the park and breastfeed. Go out to a restaurant, she breastfeeds. Everywhere. I've never spoken on it because I know she'll get mad and offended, but when she did that on my wedding, I lost my cool. Dude, you're 34 years old? You don't understand that she is giving her child life? She is their sole source of nutrients. Is it breastfeeding? Yeah, she's gonna feed at all those places because not only is it a feeding mechanism, it's a soothing. When the baby cries, they find comfort in breastfeeding. She's not gonna just not breastfeed in front of people to be like, oh, I'm in public, I'm not gonna breastfeed. Oh, this dumbass guy is gonna piss me off. During the reception, she just did it again. I kindly approached her and asked her why she didn't bring formula or at least pump milk out and put it in a bottle so she wouldn't have to do all this at that moment. Who are you? Who do you think you are to tell someone what to do with their body and their child? And it's your sister on top of all this. You have the guts to... Oh, you should be defending her from people who are saying this to her, but yet it's her own family. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not getting way sidetracked. She said, because I don't have to. I feel comfortable breastfeeding. Getting milk out on my own is more painful. Oh yeah, I completely forgot that pumping hurts like a bee. I wouldn't know, but I'm just saying, I've seen my sisters. I said she could just make the sacrifice and compromise for one day instead of doing this in front of 250 guests on my wedding. So here's the thing, right? These other 250 guests don't care like you do, because I assume that they're all grown adults and some of them have kids, so they understand that this is completely natural and not something to be ashamed of. She then said she can't do much about it now because the baby has to have her milk. I told her she should have been more thoughtful of that than instead of completely embarrassing herself and us by doing this. The only person being embarrassed right now is you. I told my wife what the deal was, and she said that I'm an asshole and should immediately apologize to my sister. My parents also sided with my sister, and now pretty much everyone thinks I'm an asshole since I'm the only person who had a problem with it. The only reason I decided to call her out is because I considered it a bad etiquette and tacky to do that at a formal event, and that she could just find another solution for that night. So am I the asshole? Okay, you know what the real problem is here? The problem is your way of thinking, right? You called it what? Bad etiquette and tacky to do that at a formal event, and she could just find another solution for that night. That is your own thinking, right? You need to change the way you look at it. Dummy. This is gonna get taken down for bullying. Watch.